Jerred Moon here from Garage Gym Athlete. I'm here with Joe Courtney and Mark Bishop. Today we're going to be doing some Zone 2 testing. So we have our MAF baseline numbers on the board. We're going to be actually doing some blood tests to see if blood tests and our lactate measures actually coincide with our MAF zones. This thing has been a pain in the ass to work with ultimately, but we are going to do our best for you guys to see if we can get some accurate readings. We got 3 of us, so one of us should pop out with something. So here we go. Let's get into some Zone 2. All right, Joe's at 15 minutes in, testing his own blood here. Oh, sure. There you go. All right. 4.8. So you're at anaerobic threshold. All right, so Joe, his baseline was at 2.5, not a super accurate reading. To be in Zone 2, you should really be below 2 on these lactate meters. His first reading was 4.8. Again, doesn't seem to be accurate. For me, my baseline reading was 1.4, which is more accurate. Again, I feel like that's fine for like just sitting around. I'm about to hop on the treadmill. Hopefully I can get an accurate reading and try and stay below that 2 number and find out where my Zone 2's at. Good. Yeah, gotta wait till it says you can put it.
Oh, okay.
But
consent. Gotta have
consent.
Yep.
Yep.
Consent.
Don't just ram it in there. Moment of truth. It's enough.
There it is.
.7.
Nice.
So I'm right in Zone 2 right now. All right, dried off really well. Don't worry about being in a hurry. Get the alcohol on there. All right, we are good. Yeah, get that blood out of there. Come on. So if this reading's accurate, this is your Zone 2. Like were you just kind of staying at your MAF heart rate, or where were you at on that?
Yeah, I was trying to say lower 140s, but I did go up into like 146.7, just because it's easy to speed up on that thing,
Yeah.
and not to slow down.
Right.
I felt fine.
All right, you are at 1.7. Yes.
Did I get back on?
Yeah. So you're in Zone 2 right now. What were you at? Like your exact heart rate?
Congrats, man. You get to run for 30 more minutes. Same thing,
Yeah, I did.
You got a dry spot right here in your hip.
Yeah. That's my love handle. They don't sweat.
Never heard that before.
That's why they're still there. 1.5.
You went down. Hop back on, buddy.
What?
Well, I think we've officially found your Zone 2. Try harder, Joe. Perfect.
All right.
Out of Zone 2 at 160, maybe a little bit around above 160. Now I'm wondering if it's not reading the. 1.5.
Perfect.
So I guess it cleared it out.
Cleared it all the way out. Dude, that's like, that's exactly what you were hoping for, right?
At first it was hard and frustrating just because it's like trying to get your heart rate up and then keeping it, especially on the treadmill with just getting it really fast is really hard to go up, but it's hard to back down. But after that, after the 30 minutes, it was easy to keep within my zones just because heart rate's already elevated. So going off of those, I don't know if, I mean, 160, 165 might not seem accurate. I would be interested to start it fresh and see how I feel on my next zone 2 to do 150 to 155, see what my pacing is, see what I felt, because even though I was at 160, I mean, I was comfortable up there. I was talking some. It was easy for me to just maintain it for a while, but it was also hot, so I don't know if that factors in, but my heart rate was still up and I'm not dead. Like, I'm fine right now.
All right, we just finished our zone 2 testing. So for reference, we did our MAF zones, and I have them right here. So Mark, C is Joe, and J is me, Jared. And so we are all around the same age, so about 145, 144. And MAF allows us to go up to 10. If you're in really good shape and you really look at the MAF data, you can go plus 10. So we all really could go up to 155. Well, we just tested zone 2. We ran zone 2 on the treadmill for 15 minutes, and we tested our blood lactate every 15 minutes. And here's what we saw. So I'll go over Mark's first. So Mark started in what is his zone 2, which is 144 to 148. That's within the MAF zone. In his first 15 minutes, he was right at 1.5, which is actually lower than we want. So we had him increase to around 150 to 155 beats per minute. And then he was at 2.1 millimole for his lactate, which is too high. Above 2 is out of zone 2. And so we told him to slow down a little bit. And he slowed down to 146 to 148. And then his lactate came way down. I think this is 1.4. So his body's also starting to utilize that lactate for energy. It's starting to clear it really fast. He's becoming more efficient. And then we told him to pick up the pace, and he ended at around 158. And that was a reading of 1.6, closer to zone 2. So I would safely say Mark is around that 155 he could easily use for his zone 2. And hell, I might even want to test Mark beyond the 60-minute mark to see what happens after if he keeps running. Now for me, very similar results, just kind of in a different time frame. So after my first 15 minutes in zone 2 at 148 beats per minute, I was at 1.7. I increased my heart rate up to 155, and I dropped down to 1.6. Again, after 15 minutes, your body's starting to become more efficient, starting to clear out the lactate. So I went up to above 160. So I was going 160 to 165, and my lactate shot up to 2.2. So I'm no longer in zone 2 once I cross 160. So I brought it back down to 150 to 155, a little bit lower than here. And I ended up at 1.5, similar to Mark. And so that tells me about the same thing. I could probably comfortably be in around 155, which is upper MAF zone for me. 145 is the MAF zone, but 155 would be my upper MAF zone if you've been training for a long time. So higher, proven through blood lactate testing that I can go a little bit more. Now Joe's, his is a little bit difficult. This lactate meter is very hard to use, and he was the first one to test. His first test was invalid, but we had to get him back on the treadmill. His second one, he came in at 1.7 when he was between 138 and 148, and so we had him increase to 150 to 154 on the heart rate. He dropped down to 1.5. And then this is where the data doesn't make any sense. He went up to 160 to 165, which for me was way out of zone 2. For him, it was like the same. He just maintained the whole thing. So I don't have a lot of takeaways from Joe other than I'd probably like to test Joe again to see if this changes since we did kind of like dial in our blood testing a little bit after the fact, after Joe had gone first. So ultimately, big takeaways here are if you are looking to do zone 2, I would start with MAF. So MAF is 180 minus your age. That's probably going to be good enough for most people to start doing your zone 2 training. Now, if you've been doing it for a while and you feel like you're really well trained and you're seeing progress, add those 5 or 10 to it, because even in the Phil Maffetone method, he says you can add those 5 or 10 if you're in really good shape, you're making progress, and then you can add more. But I would start with just the math formula, 180 minus my age. If you want to get into blood testing and lactate, it's kind of an expensive hobby. The strips are expensive, the tester is expensive. But ultimately, if you start here, and then the more shape you get in, you could add 5 beats per minute, 10 beats per minute, and then just kind of go based off of feel. But it's really cool to see the science, all the blood test out, come out to seeing all this stuff. So I'll probably actually adjust my zone because I've been running at around 145, 148 average. I'll probably bump that up to 153, 155, and see what progress I make as I continue to do zone 2 training.